boats. They're on turn number 4, ready to go racing in the Winfield ASE Trophy Dash. Rushing! Turn number 1, up high. And the 9-time champion gets out, and here comes Hewitt down the inside. Almost a touch of wheels there. Hewitt found something else, drifts high, Rush back on the inside. Here they come, down the front straightaway. Rush working the high line. Gentleman Gary stands on the gas as he works the back straight. Gets to the low line. Then look at Skip Jackson running in third. Tatnell trying to deal with Allen. Turn 4. Here they come across the line. Australia 1. The Aussie champion in front. Jack Hewitt runs in second. Jackson not disgraced. What a performance. And George Tatnell looking at trying to get past Bobby Allen of the United States. He won't do it on the inside, or will he? Across the strike. Laps on the side of Gary Rush. This will be a quickie. 1 lap to go. Rush in front. Turn number 1, Hewitt will work the inside, but Rush will need to get down to the low side of the track. They work halfway down the back straightaway. Rush sets it in about mid-track, now stands on it. He's got the cushion, he's got the tacker, he's got the pole! Rush wins it. Second spot to Jackie Hewitt. Third place goes to Bobby Allen. Fourth to George Tatnell.
Okay, let's talk about the magnificent record of Gary Rush. 9 times Australian champion, 9 times New South Wales, and so the list goes on. Have you got much more to achieve?
Not really. I've done everything I want to do in Australia, and I've done everything I want to do in the United States. Probably the thing that I'm looking forward to now is helping my son a bit, you know. He's over in the States now, and we're going over in a couple of months to give him a hand, and hopefully he'll get enough experience over there to be able to come back here next season, and we'll put him in the good car. He's never had a good car yet, and we'll put him in the good car and see what he can do here next year.
Gary, you've successfully mixed sprint car racing and all sorts of dirt track racing for that matter with touring cars over the years, a little bit of NASCAR as well. Is there anything that compares to the exhilaration of a sprint car?
Nothing at all. Sprint car racing, wherever you go, it's excitement plus excitement.
In Gary Rush's view, why hasn't sprint car racing and speedway for that matter enjoyed the popularity in terms of television exposure that other forms of motorsport have?
Well, that's hard to say. I'm not sure why, but it's gathering momentum because of the Winfield series. Right around Australia this year, every Winfield series, packed house, and I think it's going to be bigger and better every year.
The 10th Australian title for Gary Rush, is that next plan, next target?
No, I've got nothing like that in mind. If I wanted to win a 10th title, I would have went to the Australian titles this year, but no, I've done enough. It's time for the young, there's some good young blokes coming up, and you know, I'm very happy with what I've achieved.
Well, let's talk about the young blokes that are coming up in the sport. There's a number of them. Your son, Brooke Tatnell, Skip Jackson, and so the list goes on. Do you think that's due to the fact that sprint car racing is such a cost-effective means of racing as opposed to touring cars, for example? Oh,
that's for sure. You know, young guys can come along here and spend a fraction of the money they do in touring car racing and get good equipment. But, you know, the young blokes that are coming through, like young Brooke and young Skip, young Brooke's going very, very well, and young Skip, if he gets himself in a real good car, you'll see he'll go as well as Brooke, you know.
Mate, you've raced with the best, you've beaten the best the world over. Is there any one driver that sticks out in your mind that's been the toughest competitor over the years?
Well, there's only one sprint car driver when you think sprint car racing, and that's Steve Kinser. You know, he's just a class above everyone else, but he works harder than anyone else. But then you've got Sammy Swindell, he's very, very good. Australia hadn't seen him yet, and well, who knows, next year he might be out here. Then you've got Doug Wolfgang, and those three guys, they just stand head and shoulders above everyone.
Is there any Australian drivers that you could rate up on the same par?
No, there's no Australian drivers. They're all professionals. We're weekend racers, and unless you go over there and do 100 shows a year like them guys, you're never going to be able to compete with them.
One man that's turned up at 1,000 speedway shows is the uncompromising and often charismatic George Tatnell, the winner of 3 Australian speed car titles, a 2-time winner of the prestigious Winfield ASC series, and a former national sprint car champion. What a magnificent career.
Oh yeah, well, years ago when we first started, you know, like we tried to bring, we thought that Speedway was a business, and basically when we first started, we had a sponsor called Midford shirts, and every week we'd come out in different colour shirts. We might have polka dots one week, and next week we might have, might be paisley type, or it might be stripes, but it created a sort of image. That's where we got the nickname from. It wasn't from my good looks, I can tell you that. But no, it's we've felt that you've got to promote the sport and promote yourself, and if you do both those, well, you'll do very good out of it sponsorship-wise, and we've been very fortunate. We've been with good sponsors all our lives. In Winfield, we've been with 18 years, Shell off and on for about 13 years, and Australian Airlines for 12. And we've had a very good rapport with those. We've got a lot of customers for them. We've spread the names and everything right across the country. So, you know, it's paid off for us, and unfortunately there's not too many of the others want to follow that way. Everybody seems to think that we're lucky and that everything just falls to us on a plate, but you know, that's not the case. We work very hard at everything that we do, and we try and promote the sport. And as I say, it's not a sport anymore, it's a business, and it's been a business for us for 18 years, and we've been reasonably successful at it. 10 years from now, if we can achieve a good TV coverage and bring more major sponsors into it, it'll far surpass road racing. Like, road racing to me at present is so boring. I don't know, Mike Raymond has headaches trying to make an Australian Shell Series round, make it look exciting, and it's so boring and so bad, it's crazy. But
Like Gary Russ, George Tatnell has been there and done it all. In a career spanning more than 30 years in speedway racing, one has to ask the questions, does George have any regrets?
No, it's been great. It's just been a magic era in our lives. The only regrets that I really have is basically that we didn't go to America, but then my family come first, and I don't regret any of that. But I just wish that we could have promoted the speedway a little bit better. I don't know how we could have done it. We've tried everything that we can, but no, there's no regrets. We might have torn up a lot, but we've won a lot and we've gained a lot out of it, and you know, you only get back what you put into it, and we've put a lot in, and we've taken a lot out, and we're fortunate we're putting something more back in with Brooke, and you know, that's what it's all about.
And what about George Tatnell's advice to younger drivers?
My advice to younger drivers, geez. A lot of people would say that George Tatnell's advice wouldn't be worth following, but no, it's basically my advice to anybody getting into the sport is to get a good car, get a good crew behind them, and have it in their mind that they want to do it, and then they go out and do it and put every effort into doing it. And it's no different to any part of life, whether it's marriage or making love, whatever. The whole deal is that you just got to put everything into it and want it bad enough, and you'll get it.
At the age of 52 years young, Tatnell still attacks his racing with a vigour comparable to drivers half his age. And now the thundering 650 horsepower wing sprint cars on the circuit to contest 4 two-lap match races. George Tatnell began brilliantly, goes through turns 1 and 2, and in fact has kicked away about 5 car lengths on Bobby Tunks. Rod Bowen back in third, marginally ahead of Bobby Blackmore. But have a look at George Tatnell go in the Winfield number 5 Gambler. He really is dialed into this circuit, George Tatnell. Quite remarkable in view of his recent crash in that last event to be back in this car, strapped in and absolutely hurtling around the Sydney showground to the delight of the large crowd. George Tatnell's going to win the first one. Rod Bowen's pushed his way through into second spot, all run up a little high there, the rocket, but George Tatnell's going to come around and collect the checkered flag about 7 lengths in advance of Rod Bowen, who now goes across the strike. Tunks marginally held out Bob Blacklaw to finish 4th.